Namaste. I'm Dr. Robert. And today on 5-ish Minutes with Dr. Robert, my subject is ends and means. There's an old saying in English, the end justifies the means. This old saying was one that Vimalananda vehemently disagreed with. He said, and he said it often, the end cannot possibly justify the means because the end is the means. What he meant by that was whatever means you employ to achieve a particular end, those means that you are employing are karmas, and those karmas are going to have an effect on you with their reactions no matter what happens. So just because you feel like this goal is very desirable does not mean that you can afford to do anything to achieve that goal, even if that goal is tremendously desirable. And there have been many, many, many examples of this from all perspectives on the political spectrum all throughout history. Vimalananda in particular was talking in the 1970s and early 80s, and he was talking especially about communism because he said the concept of communism was very good. Let us have everyone be taken care of properly. But the means of communism, which involved slaughtering everyone who you regarded as not being worthy of existing in this proletarian paradise, and having children inform on and sometimes actually kill their parents, he said, if you are going to kill your ancestors, there will be no the continuity between the past and the future will be completely lost. And he was convinced that communism was absolutely a dead end. And even though at that time, while he was alive, it appeared that there was no reason for communism to end, eventually it did, and suddenly. And as a result of this very fact, all of its contradictions came into one position and caused it to fail. So from this very large perspective, and even from the perspective of individual people, the end does not justify the means. We even today, there are conflicts that are happening because people who represent nations feel that those nations need to be protected, but they have come to the conclusion that that protection can only be obtained by aggressive warfare. Aggressive warfare is an extremely violent karma, and that violent karma will come back to bite anyone who indulges in it, no matter that the means may be good, or rather the end may be good. Even when the means is good, if it is not the appropriate means, it often will have results that are not so good. It's very easy when you grab hold of a theory and that theory seems very desirable and you start to act as if that theory was something that was very, very important to be activated, and you try to actualize it without considering very carefully the implications of what you're doing, then there's going to be a problem. A couple of years ago, I was walking on a mountain in Vermont, and on a piece of rock on the path had been written, "No abstraction without goodwill." So this is a different restatement of this same principle. That when you abstract a concept, you think there is a result that is desirable from this situation, and I must proceed to the goal, and it doesn't matter how I get to that goal, and you don't maintain goodwill, and you don't consider about the most desirable result for everyone, then you end up in the situation that Australia and Canada and the United States did when in about 100 years ago, they took their indigenous populations, they took children and separated them from their families and their parents and put them in residential schools and tried to turn them into good little Australians, Canadians, and Americans without realizing what they were doing to those human beings. So please remember at all times, the end does not justify the means. The end is the means.